This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, July 26th show. I am dedicated to my listeners, providing you with the tools needed to make informed decisions on matters that affect your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, you can call into the show at 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com to discuss anything regarding money with me or talk to any of the guests that I've had in studio today. And right now we're going to talk with Puls with Windermere Real Estate Yarrow Bay and get a little bit of the local scoop that's happening in the real estate market. Wolf, thanks for coming back in studio.
Thank you, Tina. Glad to be here.
Very handsome man with three kind of good-looking girls, right?
Oh, absolutely. Five.
Oh, yeah, there is five.
Total.
That's right.
Yes.
We've got Carly, my engineer. I was just thinking of us sitting behind the other side of the desk. So a little background with Wolf. Wolf has been selling real estate for 30 years, full-time realtor, and 27 of those years with Windermere Real Estate East Yarrow Bay office. He served 7 years on the board of Seattle King County Realtors Association and was 2012 president. Wolf has been a 7-year winner of Best in Client Satisfaction Award as a 5-star professional featured in Seattle Magazine. He holds a senior real estate specialist designation and has been married for over 25 years to a Bellevue. I know I'm 20. I'm getting up there. And he's married to an educator, a school teacher in Bellevue, who puts up with this crazy schedule as a realtor. So that says a lot for your wife, Wolf, definitely.
Absolutely.
And he's a homeowner, investor, and second homeowner in Lake Chelan. And I love it when I give you a call occasionally and you're picking up your home in Lake Chelan. How's things going anyways? Has you seen any effect with the fire near your home?
Not for us personally, but it is quite a tragedy over there.
Yeah.
And I was just seeing something that our company is doing as well as others. But if people want to help, I think the things like the Red Cross are really important now to donate money, because it took a lot of people by surprise. I mean, wildfires are a fact of life out in central and eastern Washington, but this really was
a bad one. Yeah,
it was. We had breakfast at Campbell's Resort and talked to our waitress, and 2 people that worked there lost their homes. So,
oh my gosh,
completely gone.
Yeah, well, tough. Sorry. Yeah, that is tough. So, Wolf, with values rising at double-digit percentage levels in King County, surrounding counties, should buyers wait until this kind of plateaus, or what's your advice?
Well, I think it goes back to that old cliche about you snooze, you lose. You know, and I think a lot of people think that, oh, geez, this is a crazy environment to be a buyer in, and no one would argue that. However, by just trying to time it, I don't think that that's actually going to be to anyone's benefit, because by the time perhaps that you think you want to get into the market, prices have probably increased. And just like we talked about earlier, maybe the interest rates have finally kicked up a little bit. So any advantage you have is gone.
I totally agree. And I just ask clients, could you say what's going to happen in the stock market? And if you had a good stock price, would you hold? Same thing with real estate. So we still hear about multiple offers and buyers waiving the inspection contingency. In your area, good or bad, Wolf?
I'm with Kathy on that, Tina. It's a situation where there's really, it's a difficult situation, because as buyers go, geez, to get an advantage, maybe if I waive the contingency of inspection, I'll get my offer at least looked at. If there's 10 offers on the table and 5 of them have inspections and 5 don't, well, those 5 that have inspections just get set to the side.
Yeah.
Possible. So the pre-inspection addendums and the pre-inspection kind of were built by the legal attorneys for the real estate industry, and that's an avenue to do it. It's you consider it that even if you lose a couple of homes and it costs you a couple $100 to do that, $1,000 is a pretty wise insurance policy.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And a lot of creative things, too, that that buyers are doing is going in with these escalation clauses to where they're putting a limit. Well, you talk about that. And are you using that? And if so, how high are you encouraging or advising your clients to go?
In our area, and I cover more than just the east side, but I think it's just generally in the Seattle marketplace, multiple offers still exist. And so the escalation addendum, the 35E, has kind of become part of life for all of us. And there's different rules or lines of thought on that. I've pretty much taken the tact with my client when we're making an offer. It's kind of multifold. One is you as a buyer, with my assistance, decide what is the most that you're comfortable paying for this house.
Yes.
If someone else beats us out by $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, then you really haven't lost the house. So we just move on and we find you another house. The best thing that a buyer can do is ask their buyer agent to run an analysis of what the sales to list price ratio is for that area in the last 30 to 60 days. I just did a proposal the other day. The sales to list price ratio of the homes that have sold in the last 60 days was 105%. So that gives you an idea that if you've got a $500,000 home, perhaps an escalation should max out somewhere at say 525 or 535.
That is excellent advice, Wolf, because I think at a buyer, I know they don't know this like the industry would because they're not doing this every day, but there is a strategic way to list a home. And a lot of times for the agent that represents the seller might be listing it a little tiny bit. You never want to list it over market. That's bad. But they're listing it a little under market to get those people to come in and get these multiple offers. So what an excellent idea. And I think it's also important to understand what that's going to be doing different in your payment. Or just look at $5,000 if it's going to be, $40 a month in the payment, or is it worth it to you to lose that dream home? Because sometimes it's not necessarily whether that house is, if you're totally vested in that price, that it's worth that. But if this is your home and you want it and you're willing to pay that extra $40, having those numbers really helps as well. So let's talk about trends in construction. What are you seeing? What do you like about what's going on? Well,
I think one of the things that I'm enjoying seeing is I've noticed in the last few years that I think a lot of the products that are being used in houses, for example, if you go back, and maybe a lot of our listeners don't remember, or maybe some of them have been burned by this, but the LP siding products of the 80s and the early 90s, those created nightmares for a lot of people, whether they purchased or were selling. So these days, with the better products that are being used, the more efficient products, we just in our second home and redid the second home, and we put in a new heat pump, but we also did a thermostat that's a Wi-Fi thermostat that we can control remotely. So those kind of things are really kind of cool to see. It's nice. And also what I like seeing, I think there's a little bit of tendency to go back to better function than just raw square footage.
Yeah, it makes total sense, Wolf. And what about some things that you object to, some trends that are happening right now?
Personal problem that I see is, we've had the opportunity for people, investors, to make good money, which they should, on flipping houses. With some of them, and especially with the fact that we talked about with inspections being waived.
Yes.
I think a lot of houses they have what I refer to as lipstick on a pig. Someone is just basically... You've never heard of that before?
No.
Lipstick on a pig basically refers to just dressing the outside, window dressing.
Got it.
Without doing the major systems. And that's where the problem comes into. If the house has just been... basically just painted and made to look pretty, but the systems are not bad, that if you do have a waiver of inspection. So double it soared, but, if you're buying a home that has just been turned to spin and to flip, have someone look at that house.
And that makes total sense because it's a whole different strategy when they're flipping versus someone that's lived in that home and completely has remodeled it.
Sure.
So what about, with technology, it's so easy to communicate over technology, and I think there's a lot of loss in the communication person to person. What are your thoughts in going through the real estate process? Is it necessary?
Absolutely. I think that in order to have a good relationship, whether it's with your buyers or your sellers, technology, texting, and instant messages, we set up our buyers to receive the latest listings as soon as they come on. But it still requires a one-on-one. Still need that somewhere down the line. Obviously, you can write up a house and not meet a buyer, but
sure.
I don't recommend that.
Yeah, it makes sense. So, Wolf, you have experience in this area, so I want to ask you on second home purchase, is it a good time to be buying that vacation in that second home? Where you seeing people doing this? What's your comment there?
Second home prices are starting to come back. Mm-hmm. For a while, they were kind of like everybody was dumping them first because, of course, if you've got two homes and you have a financial situation that you can't, financial hardship, the thing you're going to get rid of is your second home first.
Yes.
The thing that if someone talks to me and says, hey, I know you've got a second home, what do you recommend? And I say, test drive an area. Don't just go to some place like a Lake Chelan or a Bend or anywhere and fall in love with it because it's really unique and then make an offer on something. Whether, rent there for, or, go to vacation there a couple of years. Is this something you like? And if so, then go forward.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I think with the second home, I think a lot of people think the cost to purchase with a rate is higher. It's not.
Yeah.
A little higher down payment. You need a 10% down payment for a second home, and talk with your CPA, but you do get a write-off with one second home.
Right.
So a staged home, vacant one, what's better when you're selling your property?
I think it's been proven. Barb Schwartz, kind of the inventor of staging, would just verify this. In fact, I've had her tell me that a staged home always sells quicker and for more money. And I think that's an agreement. However, staging sometimes is an expensive proposition for people. Not everyone has that in their budget. So what we do as an alternative is new paint. Some of the cheapest way to get a house ready to go. Mm-hmm. Have that front yard look good. Obviously, first impressions make the door look good. If it's been damaged, fix that up. Those are things that you can do. And then also, one of the things that I do with my sellers, I know everyone's energy conscious, but whatever the wattage is in all the lamps and fixtures in the house, buy the highest wattage light bulbs so that it looks bright even on the gray days that we have. Yeah,
not too many gray days that we've had lately. No. So, but yes, I'm sure they're definitely all coming back. So there was some news this week, Wolf, and an incident that was really, really close for an agent potential attack almost. I mean, what are you doing for safety?
Safety is always one of those things that nobody really talks too much about, but everybody should be aware of. Mm-hmm. Personally, these are the things that I kind of follow if I'm out showing or if I'm out doing an open house. Is one is, of course, if you're in open house, and this I think pertains to all, but especially to the female brokers, is that if possible, develop a buddy system. Yeah. Have someone, and perhaps if you're doing an open house, have your lender, have you come to the house and hang out there. You offer a service, but you're also there to add an extra person. We want to make sure. I always make sure that I see who's coming to the door. Yeah. And that door's locked until I decide that it opens up.
Yeah, great
and
tips.
If you've got a couple and they want to split up and go to different parts of the house, just saying, folks, let me show you the house together.
And I think anybody would appreciate safety, and if they don't, there might be something. And might be something a little wrong there.
And I've actually gone to the point. I haven't done it all that much, but at an open house, there's nothing that says that you cannot ask the individual to show their ID and you take a picture of it with your cell phone.
Yeah, great idea. Well, thank you for coming back into studio.
My
And
pleasure.
it was a pleasure having you here. Thank you again for all the guests that came in today. A lot of great information. This is your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, signing off for the day. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, or if you're listening on Sunday at my rebroadcast, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to talking with you next week to talk about money right here on 1150 AM at KKNW.